All right, let's dive in. Today we're talking about the EU's brand new AI Act. And trust me, this is a big one. It's the world's first major rulebook for artificial intelligence, and it's about to change how tech is built and used, not just in Europe, but across the entire globe. So the big question is, what's actually in it?
So why is every single major tech company on the planet suddenly paying very close attention? Well, it pretty much boils down to this number. We're talking fines of up to 35 million euros. Or, and this is the real kicker, for the biggest players, it could be a staggering 7% of their entire global turnover. Yeah, you heard that right, global. Those are stakes that get everyone's attention, fast.
But look, it's not just about the money, as eye-watering as those numbers are. The AI Act is really a landmark move. It's the first real attempt by a major global power to set the rules for a technology that is moving at an absolutely breakneck speed. The goal here is to build trust and make sure AI is safe. But, and this is important, it's not like they're flipping a switch and it all becomes law overnight.
No, this whole thing is being rolled out in stages. So first up, the most serious outright bans, those kick in early 2025. Then, later that year, the new rules for the biggest foundation models, the engines behind the popular chatbots, start to apply. Fast forward to 2026, and that's when most of the law kicks in, with the final pieces locking into place by 2027. The message is crystal clear. The clock is officially ticking.
Okay, so how does this thing actually work? Well, the core logic of the entire act is built on a really simple but powerful idea. Not all AI is created equal. So instead of some clunky one-size-fits-all law, they've created a risk-based ladder. Basically, the more potential an AI system has to cause harm, the stricter the rules get. Simple as that.
And this risk ladder has 4 rungs. Down at the bottom, you've got minimal risk AI, think spam filters or AI in a video game. They face basically no new rules. A step up, you have limited risk systems, which just need to be transparent, like telling you you're talking to a chatbot. But the real teeth of the law are in the top 2 tiers. You've got high-risk AI, which faces a mountain of rules, and then at the very top, unacceptable risk, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's banned, period.
So let's break that down. What does this actually mean in the real world? We'll start at the very top of that ladder. What kind of AI is now considered so dangerous that it's completely off limits in the European Union? First on the chopping block, social scoring. The Act flat-out bans any AI system that scores people based on their social behavior or personal characteristics. It doesn't matter if it's a government or a company doing it. The whole idea of a system giving you a score that might affect your rights or your ability to get a loan, yeah, that's a no-go.
Next up, and this is a huge one for privacy, you can't just do untargeted scraping of facial images from the internet or from CCTV footage to build out massive facial recognition databases. This is aimed squarely at preventing companies or governments from just hoovering up everyone's faces without a specific, legally justified reason. The law also bans using emotion recognition tech in workplaces and schools. So, for example, a company can't install AI-powered cameras to analyze its employees' emotional states to, say, gauge their job satisfaction. That use case is now completely forbidden.
Okay, so if that's what's banned, what about that next rung down on the ladder? Well, high-risk AI isn't prohibited, but boy, does it face a heavy compliance burden. This is for AI in critical areas, like hiring, credit scoring, and law enforcement. And before these systems can hit the market, they have to clear this demanding checklist, proving they have everything from real human oversight to robust systems for fighting bias.
Now, the Act also has a special focus on the tech that's been front and center in the news lately. Foundation models. You know what I'm talking about. These are the massive general-purpose AI systems that power all the chatbots and image generators we've all been playing with.
For the most powerful of these models, the Act creates a special category, labeling them as posing a potential systemic risk. The idea here isn't about one specific use case, but about the model itself being so influential that it could pose broad risks to, well, the whole system, to society itself.
So, how do you define that? The law actually sets a very clear technical threshold. any model that was trained using a quantity of computing power greater than 10 to the 25th power flops, that's a mind-boggling number of calculations, is automatically presumed to have systemic risk. It's a clear, if very geeky, line in the sand for developers.
And if a model crosses that computing threshold, it triggers a whole new set of duties. These companies will be required to do things like publish detailed summaries of their training data, adopt policies that respect EU copyright law, and cooperate directly with a brand new enforcement body.
So who's the new sheriff in town for all this? Well, the governance structure has a few key players. At the center is the new European AI Office, which will directly supervise those big systemic risk models. For most other AI systems, though, enforcement will be handled by authorities in each EU member state, all supported by an independent scientific panel.
At this point, you might be thinking, okay, this is an EU law. Why does it matter to me if I'm not in Europe? Well, much like its famous data privacy law, GDPR, the AI Act is designed to have a massive global reach. And the reason is simple. The law applies to any company that offers an AI service to people inside the EU. It doesn't matter if your headquarters are in Silicon Valley, London, or Tokyo. If your product touches the European market, you have to comply. This is what's known as the Brussels effect.
Of course, a law this ambitious doesn't come without controversy. One of the biggest debates is that classic tension between innovation and regulation. Critics, especially in the startup community, worry that the high cost of compliance could stifle innovation and put smaller European companies at a huge disadvantage. The EU's position, though, is that clear safety rules are absolutely essential for building public trust, which they see as the real foundation for long-term innovation.
Another major battleground is copyright. The law requires these big foundation models to publish a summary of their training data. But what does that mean in practice? You have creators and publishers arguing for maximum transparency to protect their rights, while the AI developers are arguing that their training data is a valuable trade secret. This fight, well, it is far from over.
But no matter which side of these debates you land on, the fact remains, the AI Act is here. It is the world's first comprehensive, legally binding framework where none existed before. It's moving the entire conversation about AI ethics and safety from academic papers into the real world, into binding law.
So, as these rules begin to roll out over the next few years, the big question isn't just how they will impact Europe, but how they will shape the global conversation. The EU has made the first move and set a powerful precedent. Now the world will be watching to see who follows and how. The race to regulate AI has officially begun.